things that has been a part of our work from our very first meeting is to think about not only what we're going to do, but how we're going to build our collaborative. We have talked about collaboration, the characteristics of collaboration, who are the people that are going to be a part of our collaboration, how are we going to act together at every single convening. And we know that the people who need to be a part of that collaboration need to be people who fit certain characteristics, like are willing to come to the meetings and are willing to take off their organizational hats. One of the criteria is you would only choose a person to be a member of the steering committee if you would be comfortable with them being the chair of the steering committee. That raises the bar in a whole different way for who you would have be a part of that group. So that collaboration part is really important. It takes a different kind of collaboration to be stewards of the whole system than it takes to try to implement a specific program.
ARCHI is a diverse group of over 70 stakeholders. And during one of our quarterly meetings, we had to understand as a group the different drivers of health and how using one or the other might result in a different health outcome over time. But the system also required us to make some difficult and different kinds of decisions about what drivers to focus on, because we could not focus on everything. We came up with 6 different scenarios focused on different sets of drivers. 87% of them voting on one scenario. I mean, that was an eye-opening moment for everybody in the room, because it allowed others to see, well, that person was thinking just like me. They were thinking this was the scenario.
We have together chosen a preferred future. We have looked out 28 years and we've identified the interventions that we would like to make happen in Fulton and DeKalb counties that would get us a future that we would be proud of. And we are going about the business of working on this. Really, we've worked on it in 2 ways. One is trying to build a collaborative that is ready to be stewards of the whole health of the community. And the other part is about trying to actually see what it takes to implement the healthy behaviors, the pathways to advantage, and the care coordination, as well as the financial aspects. When you're a group of people who are stewards of the whole system, then you're in a situation where you're having to look at the whole system and you're having to say, what would it take for us to impact this whole system? How do we need to work together? Who needs to be a partner? How do we need to convince people to put their money, even if they just tweak it a little bit, to put it in a little bit of a different direction? Assembling the resources to do this work in a sustainable way is one of the big challenges. We're approaching the assembling the resources in stages. One stage is getting the core resources that are needed just to staff the day-to-day work and keep us going, to work in the pilot, to align people, to have the meetings, to coordinate things, to have the website, just the basics. And so that's a first phase. The next phase is the innovation investment. And in that investment, it's 1% of the healthcare spending in the region per year for 5 years. That's a lot of money for us. And so the United Way has kicked us off with that by investing $3.5 million, but there are a lot more millions that we need. And we're going to be turning our attention to that next. And then the other part is for us the capture and reinvest. And that's when you implement things where you save money and you do it in such a way that some of the savings are reinvested back into the efforts. And that's another part of the model that takes some negotiation and some change on people's parts. And that will be also something that we'll be moving into. We are looking at getting more of the hospitals to join in thinking about how they assess and set their priorities and spend their community benefit dollars. We also want to explore with the hospitals a little bit more about how they spend their money from a corporate perspective. Another thing that we're looking at is the bank's community development investments and how those might be tweaked or redirected in a way that helps us achieve some of our goals.